Blondie is an American comic strip created by cartoonist Chic Young. Distributed by King Features Syndicate, the strip has been published in newspapers since September 8, 1930. The success of the strip, which features the eponymous blonde and her sandwich-loving husband, led to the long-running Blondie film series and the popular Blondie radio program. Chic Young drew Blondie until his death in 1973, when creative control passed to his son Dean Young, who continues to write the strip. Young has collaborated with a number of artists on Blondie, including Jim Raymond, Mike Gersha, Stan Drake, Dennis LeBrun, and John Marshall. Through these changes, Blondie has remained popular, appearing in more than 2,000 newspapers in 47 countries and has been translated into 35 languages. Since 2006, Blondie has also been available via email through King Features' Daily Ink service. Overview: originally designed to follow in the footsteps of Young's earlier Pretty Girl creations Beautiful Bab and Dumb Dora, Blondie focused on the adventures of Blondie Boopa Doopa, a carefree flapper girl who spent her days in dance halls. The name Boopa Doop derives from the scat singing lyric that was popularized by Helen Kane's 1928 song I Wanna Be Loved by You. Marriage equals. On February 17, 1933, after much fanfare and build-up, Blondie Boopa Doop marries her boyfriend Dagwood Bumstead, the son of a wealthy industrialist. The marriage was a significant media event, given the comic strip's popularity. Dagwood's upper-crust parents strongly disapprove of his marrying beneath his class, and disinherit him. The check Dagwood uses to pay for his honeymoon bounces, and the Bumsteads are forced to become a middle-class suburban family. The catalogue for the University of Florida's 2005 exhibition, 75 Years of Blondie, 1930–2005, notes, Blondie's marriage marked the beginning of a change in her personality. From that point forward, she gradually assumed her position as the sensible head of the Bumstead household. And Dagwood, who previously had been cast in the role of straight man to Blondie's comic antics, took over as the comic strip's clown. Setting equals, Dagwood Bumstead and family, including Daisy and the pups, live in the suburbs of Joplin, Missouri, according to the August 1946 issue of the Joplin Globe, citing Chic Young. Cast of characters equals, Blondie Bumstead, the eponymous leading lady of the comic strip. Blondie is a smart, sweet, and responsible woman. She can be stressed at times when raising her family and because of Dagwood's antics, and despite being usually laid back and patient, Blondie does get upset sometimes. She is also extremely beautiful with gold hair, gentle curls, and a shapely figure. A friend once told Dagwood that Blondie looked like $1 million. In 1991, she began a catering business with her neighbor, Tootsie. Dagwood Bumstead, Blondie's husband. A kind, loving yet vain man whose cartoonish antics are the basis for the strip. He is a big fan of football and has a large, insatiable appetite for food. Dagwood is especially fond of making and eating the mile-high Dagwood sandwich. He celebrates even the most insignificant holidays, and approaches Thanksgiving with the same reverence most people reserve for Christmas. His continuous antagonistic and comical confrontations with his boss Mr. Dithers, for numerous reasons including Dagwood's laziness and silly mistakes, is a subplot that gets considerable attention in the strip. Another subplot deals with Dagwood and his neighbor Herb. He can also often be seen napping on his couch. Alexander Bumstead, the elder child of Blondie and Dagwood who is in his late teens, formerly referred to by his pet name Baby Dumpling. As a child, he was very mischievous and precocious. As a teenager, he is athletic, level-headed and intelligent. Despite resembling his father, he is more down-to-earth like his mother. Cookie Bumstead, the younger child of Blondie and Dagwood who is in her early teens. Cookie is portrayed as a sweet, bubbly teenage girl whose interests include dating, hanging out with friends, and clothes. Her appearance has changed the most compared to the other characters. As a child she originally had long curly hair with a black bow holding a long curl on the top of her head. As a young teen she wore her hair in a ponytail with curly bangs. As an older teen she wore her hair long with a black headband and later dropped the hairband and wore her hair with bangs, barrettes and flipped to the sides. Her current hairstyle is long with bangs and flipped at sides. Daisy, the Bumstead's family dog whose best friend is Dagwood and who frequently changes her expression in response to Dagwood's comments or other activities. She, in the later years of the comic, gave birth to puppies. Mr. Beasley the postman, the Bumstead's mailman who Dagwood seems to always collide with and knock down as Dagwood hurriedly leaves the house. Mr. Julius Caesar Dithers, founder of the J.C. Dithers Construction Company and Dagwood's boss. He dictates to his employees and believes the best thing in life is money. Although it usually does not seem like it at the workplace, Mr. Dithers still is a good-hearted man. Mrs. Cora Dithers, Mr. Dithers' wife. She usually gets into fights with him as she exerts control of her husband. She is great friends with Blondie. Herb Woodley, Dagwood's best friend and next-door neighbor. Tootsie Woodley, Herb's wife and Blondie's best friend. Tootsie and Blondie can empathize with one another as women, mothers, and particularly as spouses of eccentric husbands. In 1991, she joined Blondie in starting a catering business. Elmo Tultle, a kid in the neighborhood who has a friendship with Dagwood, but sometimes annoys him. His last name was originally Pfaffenhauser. Lou the Diner Counterman, the owner and cook of Lou's Diner, where Dagwood goes on lunch hours. Dagwood sometimes suggests new specials for the diner. Lou is covered with tattoos and always has a toothpick in his mouth. Claudia and Dwitzel, the carpoolers with Dagwood and Herb. Claudia is a lawyer. No occupation has been identified for Dwitzel, sometimes called Dwitz. The Bumstead family has grown, with the addition of a son named Alexander on April 15, 1934, a daughter named Cookie on April 11, 1941, a dog, Daisy, and her litter of 5 unnamed pups. In the 1960s, Cookie and Alexander grew into teenagers, but they stopped growing during the 1960s when Young realized that they had to remain teenagers to maintain the family situation structured into the strip for so many decades. Dagwood is the office manager at the office of the J.C. Dithers Construction Company under his dictatorial boss Julius Caesar Dithers. Mr. Dithers is a sawed-off, tin-pot Napoleon, who is always abusing his employees, both verbally and physically. He frequently threatens to fire Dagwood when Dagwood inevitably botches or does not finish his work, sleeps on the job, comes in late, or pesters Dithers for a raise. Dithers characteristically responds by kicking Dagwood in the backside and ordering him back to work. The tyrannical Dithers is lord and master over all he surveys, with one notable exception his formidable and domineering wife, Cora. Blondie and Dagwood's best friends are their next-door neighbors Herb and Tootsie Woodley, although Dagwood and Herb's friendship is frequently volatile. Lou is the burly, tattooed owner of Lou's Diner, the less-than-5-star establishment where Dagwood often eats during his lunch hour. Other regular supporting characters include the long-suffering mailman, Mr. Beasley. Elmo Tultle, a pesky neighborhood kid who often asks Dagwood to play. And a never-ending parade of overbearing door-to-door salesmen. Running gags. There are several running gags in Blondie, reflecting the trend after Chic Young's death for the strip to focus almost entirely on Dagwood as the lead character. Dagwood often collides with Mr. Beasley the mailman while running out the front door late for work. Other variations of the late for work gag, Dagwood keeping his carpool waiting, running after their car or stuck in traffic. In earlier decades, he had been late for the bus or, even earlier in the strip's run, late for the streetcar. The famous, impossibly tall sandwiches Dagwood fixes for himself, which came to be known colloquially as the Dagwood sandwich. Dagwood in his pajamas, having a midnight snack with most of the refrigerator contents spread out on the kitchen table. Dagwood's propensity to nap on the couch during the day, often interrupted by Elmo, who wants to ask him a question. Or Blondie, who has a chore she wants him to do. Dagwood singing in the bathtub, or interrupted while he's trying to relax in the tub. Dagwood contends with brazen or obnoxious salesmen at his door, selling undesirable or impossible-looking items. A variation of the above has the salesman calling on the telephone. Dagwood and Herb Woodley spending some weekend time together, which usually escalates into a brawl. Dagwood demanding a raise from Dithers and failing to get it every time. Dagwood caught goofing off or sleeping at his desk in the office. Mr. Dithers firing Dagwood for being incompetent or physically booting him out of his office. Dagwood getting a menu suggestion from Lou, the wry, blunt, and/or sarcastic diner counterman. The Christmas shopping gag, where Dagwood is shown carrying Christmas packages that completely cover up his face and upper body. Herb borrowing small items Euro tools, small appliances, books, and videos Euro from Dagwood, then never returning them. Occasionally, Herb will loan a borrowed item to a third party, which is then usually passed on to a fourth or fifth party, etc. Dagwood's hobby is household carpentry, but unfortunately his projects don't turn out well. Once, he built a small cabinet for Blondie, actually accomplishing all construction steps perfectly. But the result still fails because it doesn't fit in the space Blondie intended for it. Mostly, he is producing sawdust. Colonel Potterby and the Duchess equals, from 1935 to 1963, Young also drew a topper, Colonel Potterby and the Duchess, a pantomime strip displayed beneath Blondie each Sunday. Modernization equals, while the distinctive look and running gags of Blondie have been carefully preserved through the decades, a number of details have been altered to keep up with changing times. The Bumstead kitchen, which remained essentially unchanged from the 1930s through the 1960s, has slowly acquired a more modern look. Dagwood no longer wears a hat when he goes to work, nor does Blondie wear her previous hat and gloves when leaving the house. Although some bedroom and bathroom scenes still show him in polka dot boxer shorts, Dagwood no longer wears garters to hold up his socks. When at home, he frequently wears sport shirts. His standard dress shirt with one large button in the middle is slowly disappearing, and he no longer smokes a pipe at all. Blondie now often wears slacks, and she is no longer depicted as a housewife since she teamed with Tootsie Woodley to launch a catering business in 1991. Dagwood still knocks heads with his boss, Mr. Dithers, but now does so in a more modern office at J.C. Dithers Construction Company where desks now sport flat-panel computer monitors, and Mr. Dithers, when in a rage, attempts to smash his laptop into Dagwood's head instead of his old manual typewriter. The staff no longer punches in at a mechanical time clock, nor do they wear green eye shades and plastic sleeve protectors. Telephones have changed from candlestick style to more modern dial phones, to touch tone, and onto cell phones. Dagwood now begins each morning racing to meet his carpool rather than chasing after a missed streetcar or city bus. Even Mr. Beasley, the mail carrier, now dresses in short-sleeve shirts and walking shorts, rather than the military-style uniform of days gone by. During the late 1990s and 2001, Alexander worked part-time after high school at the order counter of a fast food restaurant, the Burger Barn. There are still occasional references to Cookie and her babysitting. Daisy, who once had a litter of puppies that lived with the family, is now the only dog seen in the Bumstead household. Cookie and Alexander can be seen in modern clothing trends and sometimes use cell phones, reference current television shows and social networking sites, while talking about attending rock concerts of popular current rock, pop, and hip-hop music acts. In this period, when in his basement woodworking shop, Dagwood was now shown wearing safety eyeglasses. Dagwood sometimes breaks the fourth wall by delivering the punchline to the strip while looking directly at the reader, as in the above panel. Daisy occasionally does the same, though her remarks are limited to question mark and exclamation mark with either a puzzled or a pained expression. Strips in recent years have included references to recent developments in technology and communication, such as Facebook, Twitter, email, and text messaging. 75th anniversary in 2005, the strip celebrated its 75th anniversary with an extended story arc in which characters from other strips, including Curtis, Garfield, Beetle Bailey, and Currency Gar the Horrible, made appearances in Blondie. The strip Pearls Before Swine made fun of the fact that their cast was not invited, and decided to invite themselves. This crossover promotion began July 10, 2005 and continued until September 4, 2005. Awards. In 1948, Chic Young's work on the strip won him the National Cartoonist Society's Billy DeBeck Award for Cartoonist of the Year. When the award name was renamed the Reuben Award in 1954, all the prior winners were given Reuben statuettes. In 1995, the strip was one of 20 included in the comic strip classic series of United States Postal Service commemorative postage stamps. Blondie and other media. Comic books Chic Young's Blondie, David McKay, King Comics, 15 issues. Dagwood splits the atom. King Features, Blondie Comics Monthly. Harvey Publications, 148 issues. Chic Young's Dagwood Comics. Harvey, 140 issues. Daisy and Her Pups. Harvey, 18 issues. Blondie and Dagwood Family. Harvey, 4 issues. Chic Young's Blondie King Comics, 12 issues. Blondie Charlton Comics, 46 issues. Film. Blondie was adapted into a long-running series of 28 low-budget theatrical B-features, produced by Columbia Pictures. Beginning with Blondie in 1938, the series lasted 12 years, through Beware of Blondie. The two major roles were Penny Singleton as Blondie and Arthur Lake as Dagwood. Faithfulness to the comic strip was a major concern of the creators of the series. Little touches were added that were iconic to the strip, like the appearance of Dagwood's famous sandwiches and the running gag of Dagwood colliding with the mailman amid a flurry of letters. Columbia was careful to maintain continuity, so each picture progressed from where the last one left off. Thus the Bumstead children grew from toddlers to young adults on screen. Larry Sims played the Bumstead son in all the films. His character was originally called Baby Dumpling, and later became Alexander. Marjorie Kent joined the series in 1943 as daughter Cookie. Daisy had pups in the 12th feature, Blondie for Victory. Danny Mummert, who had originally been chosen to play Baby Dumpling, took the continuing role of wise guy neighbor Alvin Fuddle. Rounding out the regular supporting cast, character actor Jonathan Hale played Dagwood's irascible boss, J.C. Dithers. Hale left the series in 1945 and was succeeded by Jerome Cowan as George M. Radcliffe in Blondie's Big Moment. In the last film, Beware of Blondie, the Dithers character returned, played by Edward Earl and shown from the back. The Bumstead's neighbors, the Woodleys, did not appear in the series until Beware of Blondie. They were played by Emery Parnell and Isabel Withers. In 1943 Columbia felt the series was slipping, and ended the string with It's a Great Life and Footlight Glamour, deliberately omitting Blondie from the titles to attract unwary moviegoers. After 14 Blondies, stars Singleton and Lake moved on to other productions. During their absence from the screen, Columbia heard from many exhibitors and fans who wanted the Blondies back. The studio reactivated the series, which ran another 14 films until discontinued permanently in 1950. Because there was still some demand from movie theaters, Columbia began reissuing the older films, beginning with the 1938 Blondie, and continued to release them in their original sequence well into the 1950s. Blondie, Blondie Meets the Boss, Blondie Takes a Vacation, Blondie Brings Up Baby, Blondie on a Budget, Blondie Has Servant Trouble, Blondie Plays Cupid, Blondie Goes Latin, Blondie in Society, Blondie Goes to College, Blondie's Blessed Event, Blondie for Victory, It's a Great Life, Footlight Glamour, Leave It to Blondie, Life with Blondie, Blondie's Lucky Day, Blondie Knows Best, Blondie's Big Moment, Blondie's Holiday, Blondie in the Dough, Blondie's Anniversary, Blondie's Reward, Blondie's Secret, Blondie's Big Deal, Blondie Hits the Jackpot, Blondie's Hero, Beware of Blondie. Radio. Singleton and Lake reprised their film roles for radio. The Blondie radio program had a long run spanning several networks. Initially a 1939 summer replacement program for the Eddie Cantor Show, Blondie was heard on CBS until June 1944, when it moved briefly to NBC. Returning to CBS later that year, Blondie continued there under a new sponsor until June 1949. In its final season, the series was heard on ABC from October 1949 to July 1950. Television. 2 Blondie TV sitcoms have been produced to date, each lasting only one season. The first ran on NBC for 26 episodes in 1957, with Lake reprising his film and radio role and Pamela Britton as Blondie. The second, broadcast on CBS in the 1968 Euro 69 season, had Patricia Harty and Will Hutchins in the lead roles and veteran comic actor Jim Backus portraying Mr. Dithers. Animation Blondie and Dagwood made a brief animated appearance in The Fantastic Funnies, a TV special focusing on newspaper comics that aired on CBS in 1980. They appeared in the beginning, singing a song to host Lonnie Anderson with other comic strip characters. Later on, after a short interview with Dean Young and Jim Raymond, they featured a short sequence where Blondie urges a reluctant Dagwood to get a haircut. The animation was produced by Bill Melendez Productions. An animated cartoon TV special featuring the characters was made in 1987 by Marvel Productions, and shown on CBS, with a second special, Second Wedding Workout, telecast in 1989. Blondie was voiced by Lonnie Anderson, Dagwood by Frank Welker. Both animated specials are available on the fourth DVD of the Advantage Cartoon Mega Pack. Both of these specials were paired with other King Features-based specials. The first special was paired with a special based on Kathy. The second one was paired with Ha Currency Gar the Horrible. In the episode Comic Caper of Jim Henson's Muppet Babies, both Blondie and Dagwood make a cameo appearance. Blondie tells Dagwood that he is going to be late for work. As Dagwood rushes to the door where he knocks into the Muppet Babies who accidentally fall in their comic strip. Frank Welker, who voiced Dagwood in the TV special, also voiced Baby Kermit and Skeeter on Muppet Babies. Baby Kermit and Baby Piggy even parodied Blondie and Dagwood in one scene. Garfield Gets Real Dagwood appeared in the CGI animated film, Garfield Gets Real. He first appeared in the cafeteria scene in which he is holding a sandwich. He was later seen behind a folding door taking a bath. He appeared in the auditorium scene watching Garfield and Oddie. He finally appeared in a crowd cheering Garfield and Oddie. He did not appear in the sequels, Garfield's Fun Fest or Garfield's Pet Force. Licensing merchandise. Over the years, Blondie characters have been merchandised as dolls, coloring books, toys, salt and pepper shakers, paint sets, paper doll cutouts, coffee mugs, cookie jars, neckties, lunch boxes, puzzles, games, Halloween costumes, Christmas ornaments, music boxes, refrigerator magnets, lapel pin backs, greeting cards, and other products. In 2001, Dark Horse Comics issued 2 collectible figures of Dagwood and Blondie as part of their line of classic comic characters Euro statues number 19 and 20 respectively. A counter-service restaurant called Blondie's opened at Universal Orlando's Islands of Adventure in May 1999, serving a traditional Dagwood-style sandwich. In fact, Blondie's bills itself as home of the Dagwood sandwich. Lunch meats featuring Dagwood can be purchased at various grocery stores. On May 11, 2006, Dean Young announced the opening of the first of his Dagwood sandwich shops that summer in Clearwater, Florida, and the comic strip characters discussed the notion of Dagwood opening his own sandwich shop. The official Dagwood sandwich served at Dagwood's sandwich shops has the following ingredients: 3 slices of deli bread, hard salami, pepperoni, capicola, mortadella, deli ham, cotto salami, cheddar, provolone, red onion, green leaf lettuce, tomato, fresh and roasted red bell peppers, mayo, mustard, and a secret Italian olive salad oil. Reprints and further reading. Comic strip collections, Blondie No. 1 by Chic Young Signet, Blondie No. 2 by Chic Young Signet, Blondie by Dean Young and Jim Raymond Tempo, Blondie by Dean Young and Jim Raymond Tempo, The Best of Blondie by Dean Young, al. Tempo, Blondie, Celebration Edition by Dean Young and Jim Raymond Tempo, Blondie by Dean Young and Jim Raymond Tempo, Blondie, a family album by Dean Young and Mike Gersha Tempo, Blondie, More Surprises. By Dean Young and Mike Gersha Tempo, Blondie Book 1 by Dean Young and Stan Drake Blackthorne, Blondie, Mr. Dithers, One Demand a Raise. By Dean Young and Jim Raymond Tour, Blondie, But Blondie, I'm Taking a Bath. By Dean Young and Jim Raymond Tour, Blondie, The Bumstead Family History by Dean Young and Melina Rizik. Thomas Nelson Pub. ISBN 1-4016-0322-X, Blondie, Volume 1 by Chic Young IDW Publishing. ISBN 1-60010-740-0. Related fiction, Blondie and Dagwood in Footlight Folly Dell, Blondie's Family Treasure Wonder Book, History, Blondie and Dagwood's America. Harper & Row. ISBN 0-06-090908-0. Blondie Goes to Hollywood, The Blondie Comic Strip in Films, Radio and Television by Carol Lynn Sherling. Manor Media. ISBN 978-1-59393-401-9. See also: Dream of the Rarebit Fiend, Jake's Dinner. References. External links: Archemax, Daily Blondie Strip, Blondie Official Site, Blondie, The Movie Series, Comic Book Awards Almanac, King Features, Blondie, Library of Congress, Blondie Gets Married. Exhibition, Blondie and Dagwood Radio Shows on Outlaws Old Time Radio.